Had you ever done any organized strength training or weight training before you started working with Haley?
No, I mean, it's really just been, in the past, membership to a gym, doing the group classes. I know Haley has put in the time to give me the workouts. They're personalized to me. I know she reviews every workout. She gives me comments on every workout. Like a huge difference. Once I started strength training, I was just like faster. And my friends were like, what the heck? Where did that come from?
All right, today's guest is a prime example of how your strength and fitness can enhance your life and not take it over. So, welcome to your episode of 5 Minutes with Shirley. She gave a big wave to the camera if you're not watching this one on the YouTube channel. But Shirley has been working with Digital Barbell for I think it's a little over 2 years now, and she has been working with our coach Haley, who's also on this interview. So I want to definitely let Haley take over a lot of this conversation and let you kind of let Haley brag about the progress that Shirley has made. But why don't we start off by Shirley telling us where you are in the world, what you do for a living, and anything else interesting about yourself we need to know.
Sure. I am in Chicago and I am in tech, the software development world. I think when I first started working with Digital Barbell, I was in the office. So I'd bike commute to the office. To be fair, it was 2 miles away, but I had that separation. And as of this year, I'm work from home 100%. So I'm in my house a lot.
Has that been an adjustment?
Yeah, it is weird. I'll go like multiple days without leaving the house. It's bizarre. It's not my favorite. I'll say that.
For sure, I get it. Like that's one of the reasons that Blakely and I have to get out of the house to go work at coffee shops so much because unless we're going to get groceries or, get the dogs out of the house, it's like, man, we got to get out and do something. You mentioned like you rode your bike to work, and I know biking is an important part of your overall fitness and enjoyment of life. Like, tell us a little bit about what you've done for exercise and training in the past.
Yeah, I mean, most of my biking has honestly just been for fun. I did a triathlon a few years, like a couple years in a row, but that was a super long time ago. I'm not a racer, but yeah, just always for fun. Commuting, transportation, just getting from point A to point B, multi-day rides with friends, long ride here or there, and then the last couple years, almost exactly lined up with when I started working with Digital Barbell. I started doing some morning training rides with friends. And that actually helped me understand how powerful accountability is for me.
Mm,
And I kind of always thought that aspect of my personality was like kind of like a character flaw. Like I needed somebody else to kind of push me to do something. But I started to just realize that's how my brain is wired. So kind of just like using that more. But yeah, to go back to your question about biking, always just for enjoyment, but I've started to feel like I want to do more and more and more. And in order to enjoy more and more and more, I needed to up my fitness too. And that working with Haley with strength training like has definitely impacted my performance. I think in a good way. But I think I've started to notice too, like I need to make sure I'm staying up with the actual long rides of training and cardio too. I need to like mix it all together to get the optimal benefit. But it was a huge difference. Once I started strength training, I was just like faster. And my friends were like, what the heck? Where did that come from? So not for racing or anything, just for more enjoyment and fun and like, blowing the doors off my friends.
yeah.
Speaking of biking, just to give people an idea, I think this was last year, right? Like just to brag on yourself, you had that multi-day bike trip, and I just remember being blown away by the mileage you covered. Do you remember exactly how many or roughly how many miles you did?
I want to say over 4 days of riding, it was maybe like 300 miles, maybe. Just some friends of mine and we biked from Chicago to Traverse City, Michigan.
That's so cool.
But we cheated a little bit. We took the ferry across Lake Michigan. Um,
I don't know if
it was
that's
a great
cheating.
time. It was a really great time. And these two friends are just monsters. They're like amazing. One of them is an Ironman triathlete and his wife, who she's just a beast in the gym. So I was really nervous that I wasn't going to be able to keep up. but we just had such an amazing time, and I had like no worries at all.
That's so cool. Had you ever done any like organized strength training or weight training before you started working with Haley?
No, I mean, it's really just been, in the past, membership to a gym, doing the group classes, like what do they call them? Like body pump or
Yeah.
whatever. I
Yeah.
did, um, I did Orange Theory for a while, which I think helped me with some things, but it was one of those things where I was just like dead after doing an Orange Theory class. And I felt some gains in terms of just like I was more intentional and intense about running. That was one thing that I feel like I got out of Orange Theory was kind of the zones. So when I went on a run just outside, I was thinking, okay, I'm, you know, what do they call it? Base pace, push pace, and then all out. I was thinking about that more. So that was like one benefit, but it's not an enjoyable thing and it takes a long time. And I'm much happier with a digital workouts.
If somebody's listening to this and they're like, what is kind of the digital barbell training approach? It's one thing for Blakely or I or Haley to like explain it to somebody from our biased opinion. How would you kind of describe like a typical day of workouts or like a whole week of workouts? What is the like digital barbell flavor like to you?
Okay. How?
I
See,
stumped
now
her.
I've told my friends before, but now like you're here, so I'm is it right? But that's your question is like how do I describe it to
Yeah.
friends? So yeah, I think it's mostly strength training. It's working with a barbell that I've never done before, but is very satisfying and just a totally different thing to do. But they're just totally doable. What I usually tell my friends is just they're doable. I don't dread doing a workout because I know that it's probably going to be like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and I'll be done. I'm not going to feel like I can't do anything the rest of the day. I'm not like completely, destroyed. But it's a little warm up. It's doing movements and exercises like 9 times out of 10 I've done them before, so it's not a question of how to do it. I have a pretty good idea of what I've done in the past. So it's motivating because I'm going to try to beat what I did before. And then I'm done. I have my basement set up. I have my basement gym set up. And Jonathan, you helped me from the very beginning of like what equipment should I start with? And Haley has helped me over time. Okay, now you need a 30-pound dumbbell. Now you need some more weight for your barbell. They know me at the fitness factory, which is kind of satisfying. I go there and they're like, she needs more weights. And I'm like, yeah. But yeah, they're totally doable workouts. I don't dread it. I get in and I get out and it's done and it's satisfying.
Haley, why don't you brag about some of the progress that you've seen Shirley make in the time that you've been working together?
Yeah, well, I have my desktop pulled up and I have two videos. Shirley 9 chin ups, Shirley weighted chin ups that I've been wanting to do something with. So maybe we'll be able to tag it on here as we kind of advertise this. But
Heck yeah.
that's a super fun one. I think what not too long ago, maybe it was like June. I believe you had two, maybe three, and now you knock out 9 chin ups. Which at this point, I think you should go. We should try this week and get 10 because that just sounds even cooler. I know you can. I know what was it last week or 2 weeks ago? You tried the weighted pull ups with 10 pounds, which is insane. I don't think you realize how amazing how strong that is. And yeah, like she said, she had never worked with a barbell before, so that was a really fun thing for me because naturally that's kind of nerve wracking, right? This is a totally new world almost, and you just gain strength, and it's just you're also very consistent, which is the
Yeah.
obviously not the exciting part of this topic, but that's ultimately the secret sauce for Shirley is she's just super consistent.
What is it? Why are you so consistent, Shirley? Is it what you alluded to earlier about having the accountability?
Yeah, 100%. I know Haley has put in the time to give me the workouts. They're personalized to me. I know she reviews every workout. She gives me comments on every workout. So if I don't do them, I feel like I'm dropping the ball, and now I've learned even more about the process now through our Digital Barbell Slack channel. Like I understand more that Blakely is actually doing a lot of work to start, and like she's really thinking about these themes. And so it's not even just a question of like me. Everybody is doing something similar, and it's all like this 12-week cycle. So if I falter on a week, I'm kind of like messing up the whole thing, which like I didn't realize even when I started, but there's a whole process that goes into what I eventually get on my app. And I know that the circle isn't complete. It's not even complete when I finish the workout. The circle is complete when like Haley responds to it. She gives me feedback, and then we adjust for the next week. That's going to be the whole 12-week cycle that feeds into the thing. So like I'm just like a little cog like that. It's a little cog, and I have to do it.
That's
Shirley,
really
you're the
cool. I never thought about it like that.
best. No, that's awesome. I love
It's
that.
a cool feeling when you hit complete on your workout in True Coach, and like you know that your coach is gonna look at it and they're gonna review what you've done and they're gonna recognize the progress that you've made and give you feedback. And that, like, I know when I've hired a coach in the past, I've had coaches that I feel like they didn't really even care what I was doing, and I've had coaches that really did care. And it's a cool feeling waiting for that feedback from your coach, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
I also think she does well with, because obviously in the app that we have, there's the exercise history that you could go back and see what you did the week prior. But I try and, especially the big lifts, I try and remind you, okay, here's the reps we got last week. Can we add a rep this week since we're keeping the weight the same? And I would say 9 times out of 10, you've always been able to squeak out more reps. And it's just cool because I think we always think the only way to make progress is you're putting more weight on the bar, but there's all sorts of other ways, and you're always doing that.
Heck yeah. You guys have also worked together several times on nutrition in the past. Tell us a little bit about, why you've hired us for nutrition guidance from time to time too, and kind of what you've learned about nutrition in your time working with Haley.
I think I had my intro call with you, Jonathan, and you mentioned we really want you to start with some nutrition just to get kind of the basics down. And I don't remember. I think that I didn't even think I needed or wanted that.
Hmm.
But you definitely helped me see how important nutrition is for any, I guess a change in body composition, but then also just in being able to perform in the strength and on the bike, all that stuff. And I never really thought about nutrition all that much, to be honest. But I did notice kind of like starting in my mid 30s. I'm in my mid to late 40s now, but in my mid 30s, I did start to notice like some body composition changes, and I've started to gain weight. Like every year I was kind of like gaining another pound, and I always tried to be like not worry about that too much and just be like, this is how my body is changing and that's fine, and that's just everybody, will deal with that. But I actually found with the nutrition coaching that I have control over that, and I never counted calories before working with you guys and never tracked my food. And doing that definitely opened my eyes to, like what is in my food, how calorically dense is it, how does that impact my body composition? Like I've learned a ton from you guys, and I've completely changed my diet. It's pretty wild.
How so? Like, how do you describe your diet now? Because dieting is not a new thing. You probably have friends that are on a diet, but are you on a diet or have you just changed the way that you eat?
I think I've just changed the way I eat. I eat a lot more protein. I eat a lot more like dairy and eggs. Every so often, if I know that my nutrition's a little off for the day, I might have a protein shake. Probably less alcohol, just knowing how much that affects not just the caloric intake, but then like the next day. And so
Hmm.
how hard it's going to be actually to do the workout.
Mm-hmm.
I've started to get a little passionate about some things. I think it's so ridiculous that there's no calorie label on alcohol. I think it's insane. I think that's just insane. So I've started to form a lot of opinions about nutrition and food that I didn't have before. And yeah, like those changes are pretty big.
So you guys have gone through different cycles with your nutrition too, where you're focused on building muscle and then losing fat. What kind of results have you seen from the time that you were in your 30s and just kind of steadily gaining weight to knowing now that you have control over it? Like, how has your body composition and your results changed?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first started losing, and I think a lot of people go through this process, and since I never dieted before, I never did, but like you can see the results pretty fast when you're focused on it initially, and then it's kind of like maintaining is the harder part. So I'm noticing that now, and I have a lot more empathy towards people who go through that journey. Because when I first started losing the fat and all of a sudden my clothes are fitting better, and it's like not even just that like, oh, I can fit into my skinnier jeans, but it's also like I put on a t-shirt and I feel like I fill it out, like in a good way, like, oh, this fits how it should fit. Normally, like, I think, and I never heard the term skinny fat before, but like when you're skinny fat, like it's hard to put on the jeans, but then also you put on the t-shirt and you look like you're kind of drowning in it. So it's just like, yeah, clothes fit better. And I think I saw those results, like I think relatively pretty quickly. And then now as I'm sustaining, I'm noticing when I'm kind of falling off. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, I should kind of like pay attention to that again. Now that I have the tools in my toolbox and like the knowledge, I feel like I can make some changes too.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Well, we have
What's
your, I'll say we have the progress photos when we were working together with nutrition, although you still keep up and add them in there. And those are really cool to see. I mean, it's always cool to see when you're losing body fat, but it's extra cool to see the amount of muscle you get, especially your back. That's the one we really noticed. So pretty cool.
Well, if you
Yeah,
can
it's
do
cool.
9 chin-ups or pull-ups, you definitely have built some back muscles.
Right.
What advice do you have for somebody who's either, thinking about starting a fitness journey, or maybe they're doing a bunch of things that they don't really feel like it's working? Like, what do you tell that person who's not sure what to do?
You just don't have to work that hard. Like, I mean, I'll talk to, friends who like, oh, I did, 2 hours of yoga yesterday. And I'm like, hey.
Why?
Right.
Hopefully that same person doesn't complain about like not having enough time to cook healthy food or something if they have time to do
Well,
two
I
hours
mean,
of yoga.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just like other complaints, It's just like, oh, I don't like how I look in this or whatever. And I wonder if you were to poll your clients, Jonathan and Haley, like once they become aware of how like not difficult or not complicated it needs to be, how hard it is not to like shout it from the rooftops anytime anybody brings up,
Oh,
nutrition or, whatever. I'm just like, nobody's asking me my opinion. I just like shut up.
well, it's like whenever, like Jonathan said, we always work at coffee shops, right? And the amount of times I'll just be sitting there minding my own business, and I hear like a group of ladies talking about, just the workup, right? The Pilates, the keto, all the things, and I'm like, I put my headphones on. It will drive you nuts.
So if I have to distill down your advice for people, is it really just like what we preach on this podcast every single week, to focus on the basics of strength training, conditioning, eating unprocessed foods, keeping a nice mindset? Is it all that stuff? Is there really no other secret to it?
I'm a total convert, honestly. And I think I actually went back, Jonathan, when you asked me to do this, I went back in my email to find out like what did I tell you I wanted like my goals were when I
Hmm.
first started working with you. And I think I just said, functional fitness for the long term, and I wanted to work on my body composition. Like I wanted more muscle, less fat. So and I think I had learned that from I was at my gym and they had one of those like body composition detector things where you just like
Hmm.
stand on it and they tell you, oh, your right arm has the higher fat than it should or something like that. And so I got those results and I was pretty surprised. And I was like, I think I need to do something about this. But yeah, the functional fitness for the long term is so super important. And, my parents and my aunts and uncles are getting older, and I can tell, they've really put in the work throughout their lifetime, staying healthy. And, I think just kind of going through that change in my own body, like between 35 and 45, is like, if I don't do something, if I don't, take the reins, then somebody's going to take the reins for me. So it's important.
Heck yeah. No, that's a great message right there. Haley, you have anything else you want to brag about before we wrap up?
Man, I could brag about Shirley all day, but yeah, like I
I
said, I
mean,
think consistency. You were away in Detroit the past 2 weeks, and she's just on it. A few weeks ahead of time. Hey, this is when I'm going to be here. This is the equipment I have. Like, let's just plan ahead. And you got all your workouts in. You came back this week. You already got your workout in so far, and you're awesome. And the progress shows.
I like it.
It's
I
also
like it.
you knowing that knowing that you understand and that this like coach client relationship is so forgiving really helps me stay on track that way too. Just knowing that it's okay if I don't get everything perfect and like this bench is a weird setup, so I'm just gonna do things on the floor or whatever. Like Haley, she's forgiving, but I know what she expects too. She has high expectations, and so it's that really healthy. It's a really, I think, healthy teaching relationship.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's great to hear. That makes me happy.
Well, we all feel lucky to have you on the Digital Barbell team, Shirley. I know
Thanks so
people that listen to this will walk away with some things that they know they can, you know, put into place. And like maybe they're sitting where you were 10 years ago, like, you know what, if I continue on this path, it's not a great outlook. Let's jump in and fix things. So thanks for taking the time to do this.
My pleasure. I'm
All right.
fortunate to have found you all.
Awesome. Well, we're lucky to have you. You guys have a good rest of your day.